Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to my fellow panelists. This is the last session before lunch, but we promise to make it really interesting and keep you glued to your seats. We have a very, scintillating discussion that awaits us from this panel. Yeah, so we heard from the retailers, we heard from the manufacturers in the morning, but ultimately at the end of the day, all of us are here because of that one entity, the consumer. The consumer is the person who goes in, shops, she buys the brands that are available on the shelves. He is a person with, changing desires, new aspirations, ever evolving lifestyles. And at the end of the day, all of us have to be in tandem with the way she is. And there was a certain event that happened in all our lives about, a couple of years back, post which the consumer has changed even more than ever. So my first question to the panelists is, as consumers, all of us are consumers in the first place. We've all become very health conscious. And when I say health, it's not just physical health, but also mental health that really, is something that we are all extremely concerned about. And, we also commonly hearing that adage that, nutrition or the food that we eat is the best medicine. So as players in the food space, how exactly is it impacting the kind of innovations that we are bringing to our consumers? How is it that has changed? What are the trends that we see that is impacting what we bring to her table?
Should I get started?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we run the retail chain called the Organic World in Bangalore, where we have 2,500, 3,000 SKUs of multi-brand. Now, our bread and butter practically is what you just said, meeting customers' aspirations and perceptions. I just want to start by saying that consumers are not from universe, they're actually from multiverse as of now. And that's the learning that I've had in the last 5 years of building it, and I'll tell you the reason. 5 years back when we did the focus group discussion, 6 years back, we talked about variety and the price and the fresh and the value, etc. Right now, when we did the FGD, focus group discussion with our set of consumers, the kind of terms that they threw as part of the conversation is mind-boggling. They said organic, natural is given, chemical-free, gluten-free, no toxins, low fat, high fiber, high nutrition, and that didn't stop there. And then they asked, are you eco-friendly? Are you sustainable? Right? And it didn't stop there. After that, when we asked, what do you want more? Then they said, can it be in the tip of my finger to order? Will it get delivered the next day? Then they asked about, do you give discounts? And then they asked about, what is a personalization for me to be loyal? So the entire spectrum of how consumer thinks, the dimensions of what they expect from the brand and the product has gone through a complete transformation, right? To answer your question, what is in consumers' mind has gone through a radical shift, and hence the innovation has to be put forward. So when the FGD happened, my team was sitting in a room separate. I looked at them and their head was spinning at 100 RPM, right? And I had to tell them, in spite of your head spinning, keep your eyes and ears open because that's what the customers want. And hence the innovations become key. And in our innovation, what we focus on is good, better, best, where we have baselined our good as something where we have identified 175 chemicals which we want to be keeping out of every product that we sell. That becomes good. Better becomes certain attributes and virtues of the product that customer would want beyond that. It could be no maida, no sugar, which are not necessarily harmful, but it has to be controlled, right? So we call that as better. In the best are those ingredients which really bring in the nutrition, what you speak about. It could be flax seeds, it could be chia seeds, it could be superfoods, certain ingredient mix that we want to bring. And we look at the innovation from the good, better, best and where we want to place ourselves in the good, better, best as the product development. by which you strike a balance between economics and consumer aspiration. And that's our framework in the form of meeting customers' innovation requirement as aspirations.
I'll just build on what you said, Karthik, because I think the last few years, the Indian consumer has stepped up more than a couple of notches in terms of their awareness of nutrition. So I represent Kellanova, the Kellogg's brand, and I often joke it's the first plant-based nutrition company in the world, right? Really believes in the power of grains, in the power of unlocking what is intrinsically good about the grains that we sell. The first thing is consumers want to know what's in the product, right? Just to build on exactly what Karthik said. And if I then look at the way the market is moving, the fastest growing segment that we have in the breakfast category, for example, is mueslis and granolas. Yeah. Why? Because they have everything put together. He spoke about all the superfoods like flax seeds, whether you talk about oats. If you can put everything together for the consumer, but put it in a way that there is no compromise on taste as well, that's what hits the nail on the head. So what you will find is while nutrition awareness has gone up several notches, the consumer wants that and yet wants no compromise on taste. And that's the new age consumer of today. The great thing is if you look around the rooms and the stalls, I'm seeing so many products across the board which deliver on those. I believe our products deliver on it very well, but I'm seeing so many others do it as well. So that's the thing I'll add to what Karthik said.
Yeah, absolutely, Prashant. And we heard Mr. Sodhi say that some time back, that when it comes to nutritious and healthy products, it's absolutely important that they deliver on taste. And as a research agency, that's something that we've seen time and again. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a healthy snacking brand, I think this is the right question for people. Like we are from the company Karanths Foods Private Limited, and we have a brand named Fruit Treat. We are into healthy snacking, where we are giving all these natural fruits and vegetables into snacks. So people, many questions, when I met people like Karthik and Prashant sir, they have asked the primary question, can this healthy and tasty be together? So that is the main thing, that is because why there are not many healthy brands in the market is just because the consumer they'll mostly go with either with health or with taste. So I think there is a consumption, both won't go together. But we are making that wrong as a brand because our products are more healthy and tasty as well. I think if the companies can give this healthy products, the more tastier, I think definitely people will look into this healthy as a segment, continuously.
Yeah, so taking a cue from what Karanth said, I think I would want to spin this a little more, being a lot more realistic. What consumers are seeking today is that they are seeking the truth. When I say this, I also refer to a whole lot of brands which aren't speaking the truth. And today consumers want to know the truth, and they're going to discover truth because there's so much of information around in media, digital. There's enough information already. And I have a 11-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son, so I call them 7-11. So because they are on the go all around the time. They are seeking information. And I have been with different brands, from global brands to local brands. One of the things that I always felt was difficult is to actually say the truth. And today consumers are really wanting to seek that, and they will seek that. So taking a cue from what most people spoke, I would rather want to say and spin this to the next level and say that as brands, consumers will discover the truth, even though brands say whatever it is. So lot of words, natural, pure. All those kinds of words are getting used by brands, but consumers are going to discover it. So it's better that brands talk about it straightforward. That's one. Number two, packaging has evolved. So sustainability, everybody is talking sustainability. There's sustainability now even in jewelry. So why not food? So from the entire value chain, where all can brands be sustainable, as well as keep an eye on cost, because sustainability and cost most often don't go together, is what is said. But there are ways and means in which that can be done. So consumers are also looking at sustainable options today. Sustainability in terms of as basic as packaging to the kind of food and material and raw material that's being used. Another big pointer which is also there now, Indian consumers also seeking, are this whole thing on traceability of raw materials, traceability of what are they consuming, and things like that. While globally you already have, I'm sure Prashant will be able to mention that sometime, that there are norms where you have to mention traceability, on packs. That's still to get into the country. But what I would only want to summarize and say is that the consumer is very intelligent. He's seeking the real truth, real information, and that's going to explode very, very soon. And brands can't shy away from that. And obviously, they're also seeking great experience and great taste.
Yeah.
Can I add something to what Mithun is saying? I was just waiting for people making healthy food to finish so I could talk about, I'm not in the business of selling health, I'm in the business of selling convenience. And to add to Mithun's point, people are looking for healthy, tasty options and maybe sustainable as well, but the pricing has to be right? And in my business, all of my customers are the young customers, so all my customers are under 30 years. And there's one very important post-COVID trend that we saw is that, yes, the customer is thinking about more knowledge, but when they come to our stores, they're now checking out expiry dates, right? They're checking the packaging, right? They're seeking ingredients, and they're trying to be more knowledgeable because they had more time to YouTube, Google, etc. But they're above all seeking for convenience. They're seeking for flexibility. So I run a chain called The New Shop, which is a chain of convenience stores open 24 hours. Customers don't want to be any more tied down on restricted shopping timings. They don't want to be tied down to availability of just online or offline. They just want easy access. And that's one huge trend that we saw where they started seeking standardization, flexibility, easy access, round-the-clock access, and above all, value pricing meets value-added benefits.
One more thing, Vidya, I want to add. My fellow friends have covered majorly everything. But the way she said that, the age factor. So we are the brand owners of Minar, a legacy brand, and it's my pride to introduce. It's a 90-year-old brand. And post-COVID, yes, people have, they have different quantum towards the health. And honestly, everybody was going back to the root, maa ke haath ka khana. So keeping that in mind, we have launched a set of bioactive products. And why I'm adding the word bio to it, because the right ingredient in the right quantity at the right time with the taste and the nutrient. So you have to maintain the balance of both the taste and the nutrient. So though each of our product is the legacy product which we have been carrying, and each of the product has a secret ingredient to it, but just to introduce one of them, which is called as a golden latte mix, a very modern name given to haldi ka doodh, which is which is friendly to all the diets, all the fat diets, your keto diet, and which can be consumed from a 3-year-old to a 80-year-old, be it a vegan or a dairy. But the best part is that if we talk about haldi ka doodh, so everybody is putting haldi and doodh and just taking it. So haldi has a curcumin which cannot be assimilated into your body until and unless you don't put a black pepper to it. So that kind of literacy, which is much needed, and that kind of ingredients, which should be apt for your product. So this is what we are doing as the brand owners. And I think this is when we are talking about literating, when we are talking about transparency. So that should be the set of the ingredients which should be mentioned on the packaging, and this is the way we are contributing in that.
Yeah. So it's not just that the consumer is asking for, new products, her needs have evolved, but the next gen businesses are also, kind of revving up their act in order to cater to it. For example, You spoke about labeling. You spoke about, mentioning things on the label. There's a huge difference when you actually look at a product which is from a startup and a product which is from, dare I say, old B company, where, you can clearly see the difference in the label. It's all about stating it all up front. But, it could be great. There are a lot of next-gen businesses that are, building products to cater to these evolving trends of the consumer. But how do you ensure that these products reach the consumer unless you don't have a retailing, or a distribution setup that caters to it? Have you seen any dramatic changes in the way retailing is happening today? I mean, besides online, offline, you spoke about convenience stores. Are there any other new formats, that can help these small businesses scale up their
I just want to add on to yeah. So I think Swiggy and Zomato, they have become the integral and indispensable part. Nobody can survive without them. So keeping that sync in mind, we as a company has launched an app which is called Simply Raw. And if I describe that app in one sentence, it is your answers to the convenience. So, we as the channel providers to the HoReCa industry, we always believe that they have the challenge of getting it on time, the delivery on time. So with this app, we are planning to, make sure that we'll be reaching across the nation. We'll be covering the small ticket size owners, which they were unable to, cater before. Apart from that, we will be giving them the standard qualities, as we are not doing any middlemen buying. We are buying it directly from the farmers. So yes, we are building this app, and this app will be unique of its own kind, and it will be taking care of all those, the HoReCa and the food segment industry needs. So this is one of our, Yeah.
I'll share an insight. Globally, 90% of new products are discovered at a C-store. And we're seeing a similar trend at the new shop, and about 25% of our sales come from new age D2C brands. Now, while that's a great number, and since you spoke about labeling and packaging, where we do struggle is that a lot of these new age brands are unable to cope with new FSI and weights and measurement guidelines. And every time, so I'm at 150 stores, and every time there's a new meteorological department or weights and measurement department inspection, and they pick up a new age D2C brand product, trust me, we invite a fine. And, while we would love to promote as many D2C and new age brands because our customer is young, and end of the day, we get a lot of new customers because they are experiential in nature. But I think the brands also need to, be more proactive in getting their labeling, their packaging right. And it's a criminal offense, by the way. The weights and measurement department, the penalties they impose are just crazy, and we've really suffered. So as a message to all brands that, retailers would want to take you on, but it's not as simple. You also have to make a similar effort.
Yeah, that's
Vidya,
interesting.
So the whole concept of channels, for example, I think that's what you're referring to, how new age brands can build on and lap on to these channels, as well as what are the new channels, if I hear you right. So I believe that what has really happened is, let's go typically step back and look at what used to happen earlier. We had a neighborhood supermarket, let me call it, or a store, from where, there used to be a phone order. People called up and placed the order, and that's shifted. So the channel is shifted now with the quick commerce coming in and with e-commerce coming in, while consumer has been seeking a lot more convenience. So a couple of reports, one of the McKinsey latest report also says that convenience, while all branded products do give packaged products do give convenience, but consumer is seeking convenience from the channel also. So that's really going to the next level. And hence, these have all erupted. Quick commerce has erupted. They've only changed the channels. So for brands and new brands, it's easier to do their first seeding into e-commerce or quick commerce. But the real challenge will be to really penetrate into this large country where GT is still a large play. Getting into GT and getting into that will be scale, according to me.
Yeah, I'll just add one point. I think whether you're a new age brand or you're launching new products into existing categories, the biggest dilemma that you will always have is one, discoverability at point of sale versus actually building demand for the product, right? And my only advice to any player is you have to also build demand for the product, right? Because unless you tell consumers what it's about, unless you create that awareness, somewhere you are always going to go and get stuck at some point in time. And I'm sure Mithun will agree with me that your proposition needs to stand out and then be discovered at the point of sale. Because if you do only one of the two, you'll probably find that somewhere your model will not make it work, right? So that's my only addition.
As a growing brand, as a startup, I think we know better of all these things because being a big companies, you might be there in all the channels like modern trade, GT, e-com, quick com. But as a startup, especially after this COVID, when we get into the market, as Mr. Prashant said, it's very right that where we place the product is really makes the difference. But in most of the quick coms, quick com is already it's too crowded. So people are not entertaining the new brands that are getting in because they are telling every time they are telling that assortment correction is going on or all those things. Because I'm talking on behalf of all the startups who are just struggling to get into the market because we have a right product, we know the right TG, but we are not getting the enough space to reach out to the people because already when we give the good product, definitely the price will be bit higher. When the pricing that needs to be considered, she said, but when we want to give the natural and the good product, definitely the price will be on the higher side. But the moment when we get into the GT or modern trade, definitely they'll start comparing with the regular products who are already occupied the space. Especially in GT, the space is the constraint. So as a new age brand, as a new age thing, I think even we urge that the retailers should consider some, at least for the new brands, if the brand is really good, we ask them to consider give some good space to us and so that we can reach out to the right people.
So my 2 cents on this, considering that that's what we do day in and day out. Over the last 7 years, personally, from my side, we have given the platform to some 1,350 brands, new age brands, of whom at this stage, if I see the churn is so high, we have probably 50 odd brands who have survived more than 3 years, if I have to say the longevity. My suggestion for the new age brands, considering that we also have a CPG division which is purpose-driven, plant-based home cleaners and chemical-free food products. I will not talk about the e-commerce channels because enough is spoken on the D2C platforms. The criticality is to choose the right trade channel which is completely aligned with your purpose and passion. So what we do is, considering that we have our own set of rules that we follow in terms of what brands come in. And the new age brands, if they choose retailers like us or similar retailers who have put ourselves within a box, being able to demonstrate the product market fit for what they stand for, because the level of engagement that you can do on the floor with customers is open, right? Unlike a SAMT or the regional chains, which is very transaction driven. The best way is to demonstrate that and establish the product market fit and then go for a scale so that the sustenance can happen.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So when you talk about new age brands, a lot of them actually are positioned on the platform of, doing good or sustainability, being kind to Mother Earth, and so on and so forth. So can you throw some light on, where this trend is actually going to grow in the future? Is it going to be sustainable in the long run, even though all of us would want it to be that way? And how is it playing out in different kinds of sectors and industries?
Let me kick this off because the Kellogg's brand has actually had a sustainability journey well before the term sustainability became so popular. So just to give you an example, cartons of Kellogg's have been using recycled paper for almost 100 years. That's quite mind-boggling and quite ahead of its time. I believe a time will come where all businesses will realize that it is not an either or. It is more expensive, but everybody will come to the realization that they have to move in that journey. So let me talk about a few things that we're doing. We're doing work with farmers. We've worked with about 17,000 in India, more than 35,000 globally, to make sure that the corn that they grow, and that's naturally a big crop for us, is grown sustainably. For me, it's not a question of, yes, it's an expense, but we have to do it because somewhere down the line, if the soil cannot regenerate and continue growing corn, you're going to reach a trouble somewhere down the line. So whether it's sustainable agriculture, whether it's sustainable packaging, I mean, we all know enough about that space. I think it's not going to be a choice. And I think most organizations with the right moral compass will say that we are going to do this no matter what. And consumers over time will start demanding it. By the way, in India right now, consumers don't really pay a premium for it. This is our experience, at least on a mass scale. You may have niches of consumers who are ready to pay a premium, but at a mass scale, consumers don't. But organizations, as I said, with the right moral compass will have to say, hey, this is what we're doing. So for us, recyclable packaging is important. We are piloting and trying to get more and more of our packaging recyclable. We've given ourselves global deadlines by which we want to be 100% recyclable. And I'm hoping, the entire industry follows.
Yeah. As my friend has rightly used the word moral compass, yes. So yes, sustainability is the new magnitude, sustainability is the new driven technique. And as an industry, as a brand, what we are doing is that we are not doing any middlemen buying. We are directly sourcing from the farmers. So hence, maintaining the quality of the product, the consistency of the product, and the sustainability. So yes, sustainability is going to drive the industry. It is there, yes.
I think also sustainability is also becoming a good marketing tool, if you look at it for brands, because consumers are also seeking sustainable products and features, and I see a lot of global brands as well as a few Indian brands pitching that as a good marketing tool, because finally it's demand generation, right? So there's different ways of doing it. That's one. Number two is that there's also regulatory areas which you need to comply to sooner or later. So one is about morally being right, another one also being regulatory right. So it's better to be ahead of the curve and get those things done than do it when it happens, because it also helps in marketing, it helps in good brand, brand positioning, etc., as well as complying to the regulatory, authorities, as well as whatever is going to come up. And sustainability is a larger topic, and but if you really look at it, this is something like what Prashant said. You have to be part of it sooner or later.
If I may just add a small point, but just to build on what Mithun is saying, there's also a wonderful unlock that happens when sustainability doesn't come at a cost, right? And I think solar energy is one such example. As we move our plans towards solar, we actually find it sometimes more cost efficient as well. And that then a complete win-win for the environment and for the organization. Yeah.
Okay, since we're running out of time, my very last question. This is something that none of us can think of doing business without today. The role of technology in all that we do. So especially when you talk about next-gen businesses, it becomes all the more important for them to reach out to their consumers using either programmatic communication or, using AI to understand, to run their businesses, to understand, what's the next trend. So is there any way in which, you have used technology in the way you run your businesses?
So, I run a company which is a full-fledged franchise model. And today, sitting here, I just need to open my app and literally tell you which customer in which city is buying what are they likely to buy next year and again and again. Built an entire technology on cloud, because that's the cheapest way of doing that. And also because we want our franchise owners to break even quickly. So our POS is the cheapest in India. It's just $10,000. Right. And anybody can afford it. It's a one-time payment of 10,000. Now, what we've done is we are trying to build transparency, efficiency, as well as accountability into retail, which, trust me, has not existed for the longest of time. Our country and globally, retail suffers from high pilferages, not knowing who your customer is, what they're buying. Yes, e-commerce has done it beautifully, but e-commerce is still a very small segment in terms of the larger buying behavior. And we need to learn what e-commerce has done right and imbibe all those practices into offline or omni-channel retail so that we can get the best practices of those at a much cheaper cost and build it for scale. So, we've built an entire tech stack that allows our franchise owners, in fact, there's automated PO. So, from inventory management to our POS to our instant delivery app, it's all integrated, it's all omni-channel, and it works 24/7. So, that in fact, I think one of the biggest challenges in retail have been that no retailer has been able to integrate various verticals of supply chain into one software. So there's a different company building inventory management systems. There's a different company building a delivery app. There's a different company building your POS. There's a different company doing different things. And the biggest problem retailers face is how do you assimilate all together and build it on one single database? I think that's the biggest problem in retail in India, and thank God we've solved it for us.
Okay, not this market port or being a retailer, but as a manufacturer, that too being a doctorate in artificial intelligence. I did my doctorate in artificial intelligence, but I'm diversified into food where I'm using all the technology into manufacturing because as the word sustainability come, actually we have our factory almost 400 kilometers away from the city capital. So we have our factory in a very remote location. We engage with the farmers. We grow the fruits and vegetables. We procure from them. We are giving employment to the local youth. Whereas we are also involving the technology where all this, whether it's good or bad, everything will be scanned using the technology of artificial intelligence. So there is lot of scope where in the manufacturing, definitely we can use all the new age technologies so that the product quality can be definitely improved with that we can have a larger market space, I guess.
Can I go in? So the way we use the tool, I'll make it very simple. It's purely for the consumer insight. Initially, I spoke about the list of things that in the focus group discussion, the consumers spoke. We learned our lesson that the consumers' information consumption and their perception is changing faster than the speed of light. So what we use is a tool which scans the entire online space in terms of what's the voice of the customer, in terms of the product attributes. Then we map it to what are the kind of brands and products that are already available matching those attributes. And then we take that input to see what product type should we be launching so that we are at least keeping up with the pace of what customers are talking about. That's the only tool that we use at this stage.
I would like to add here, like as I already said, as a legacy company, we are integrating AI in terms of management, inventory management. And yes, we are a one-stop solution to all the food industry needs in terms because there is a comprehensive range of products. So through our app, we'll be doing the same day delivery. And the extra edge of the app of Simply Raw is that we'll be providing the credit also. Which because that is one of the major challenges, the industry is facing. So yes, maintaining the standard quality and a one-stop solution for all your food requirements. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like another legacy company, I would say technology is disrupting the organization right from supply chain all the way to sales. And there are so many things you can talk about across. But the biggest challenge will be, there will be a lot of data, like the retailer spoke about, a lot of information. How do you convert that into insights? And a lot of our focus is really on the analytics that transforms data into something we can act on. And like what Karthik said, that's a nice example of using information which actually everybody has access to, but translating it into something actionable. So it's good stuff that you're doing.
That's wonderful to hear and close this discussion on because that's my bread and butter, converting data into insights, given that I come from Nielsen IQ. Yes, any questions from the audience? Maybe we can take one question. Okay, I'm told that we have no time. And by the way, this is not the last panel discussion. There is one more discussion after this, so lunch still waits. Thank you very much, all of you, for that extremely insightful discussion that you've shared. Very useful for both, the old generation companies as well as the newbies. I'm sure all of us are going with a lot of learnings from here. So thank you once
Thank you
again.
so much.
Yeah.